Hey, welcome to Thoughtseize Interviews, the show where we seize the thoughts of our guests while playing games of Magic the Gathering. I'm Lucas Frank. With me, as always, is my co-host Zachary Cole Smith, and today we're joined by a dear friend of the show, singer-songwriter, and honorary planeswalker of the multiverse, Sarabeth Tomberlin. Sarabeth, hello.
Hello. How's it going out there?
What's going on?
Hey, SB.
Hello.
SB, are you familiar with the game of Magic the Gathering?
Somewhat, but not enough at all.
Okay, so for those who don't know, Magic is a game about two planeswalkers of the multiverse who cast creatures and spells against one another, and the point of the game is to get your opponent down to 0 life points. Okay, each player starts with 20 life points. You try and get them down to 0. That's the point of the game. You're going to see 20 life points next to each player's head, sort of while we're playing. Cole's going to be playing games against randos on the internet. And today we've built a really special deck, a special customized SB deck for you. Cole, do you want to talk about this deck that we've built for SB?
Sure. So SB, you have a dog named Annie, correct?
I do. Correct.
So Annie, Annie's your dog. She's crossed a little bit into your music. I saw a video of you playing your song "Sin" to her at like the fader fort or something. Virtual fader fort.
Deep cut.
Well, I googled Tomberlin.
We do our own research around here.
Yeah, we do. And you sell official Tomberlin T-shirts with her face on them.
I do. They're extremely official, available just at any time.
So it made sense for this episode that we would play a dogs deck. So we're playing a deck of dogs. There's also last set there was this new card called Pack Leader that kind of makes this dog deck pretty good. So we have a lot of dogs. We have Selfless Savior is a dog, Akoum Hellhound, a dog, Alpine Watchdog, clearly a dog.
Really?
Pack Leader is the leader of the dogs. Igneous Cur, another dog on fire. It's flaming dogs. Another dog on fire, Rage-Hound. The Houndmaster, who has a dog on fire, but the Houndmaster is they summon the dogs, and we got this Bolt Hound, an electrified dog, and a shapeshifter who can become a dog. And then we have this adorable cat and dog duo, Rin and Seri, the Inseparable. They're best friends. And then one little flavor card we threw in is this Animal Sanctuary card, which is just so adorable and sweet. And so I thought, let's play this with SB and fire it up, huh?
Yeah.
We've got Fat Baby in chat. Defund the patriarchy says, I sincerely hope no fictional dogs will be hurt in the making of this stream. Lol. But SB, you're not a magic head per se.
No.
But you have dabbled in a little bit of anime. You own a very sick N64. Would you say that you identify with nerd culture at all?
I think I identify in the solitude aspect of nerd culture.
Very sick. Very sick.
But yeah, not enough. Like, I didn't have access to that stuff growing up, so I'd only get to play it like at friends' house generally. Like, I shared a Game Boy Color with my older sister. Mostly was a Game Boy person. But yeah, I don't know. I look back on that time in life and still yearn for the gaming knowledge that I did not have, because now, even the other day, there's like an Xbox One where I'm staying, and it's in my room, and I'm like, I could play this, but I can't even figure out how to like connect the controller to the thing. So,
well, we would be happy to help anytime.
I don't know. I did try to. I phoned a friend, and
okay, good.
I still didn't. I didn't get it.
still didn't work.
No. So it's not looking bright.
Well,
it's kind of a similar thing to what Jordan was saying last episode about how like his parents thought that Magic the Gathering was like like satanic or something. And
My parents thought that Pokemon was satanic, and they wouldn't let us have Pokemon cards.
Well, it is.
But not satanic any more than like Disney. Really?
No,
Let's
true.
talk about Sleeping Beauty for a second. I came out of like a fucking haze getting dental work done when I was like 5 years old, and like Sleeping Beauty was playing on this horrifying TV in the dental waiting room, and it was like on the scene where she's like, "And damn you all to hell," and I was like, "What the fuck am I watching?" It was like, it was extremely disturbing. So I would say that Pokemon is no less satanic than Disney.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's safe to say we've already lost our first game. Maybe not.
Our opponent is even playing dogs against us.
Yeah,
now.
they're playing our own dogs. They've taken control of our dogs, and they're playing our dogs against us. How dare them?
Unbelievable.
So SB, speaking of nerd culture, I guess I'm gonna concede this game. We've lost. Yeah. Your most recent album, Projections, was released on a picture disc. Are you a record collecting nerd? Because personally, I loved seeing an album where it felt like the physical release is special. Because, as a music fan, I spent so much time like poring over the physical album and liner notes. Like, how important is physical release and album packaging to you?
It's very important to me. I made the first, like, at weddings, I made the album artwork for that record, and then I kind of wanted to do something similar, but then my friend and I were walking in the woods and ended up getting that picture that's on the front and back, and they're just iPhone pictures that we manipulated to look a little less iPhone-ish. But yeah, I don't know. I care about like the album themes tying into the album artwork, and I'd care about the packaging, but it's all dependent, on like what you have budget for, and that was an EP, so it just worked out that we could make it kind of like a little bit more physically interesting, I guess. But I liked that we had the idea to do like the clear cover, so it wasn't just like it's just a picture disc and then you have it in normal, like, I don't know. I just really, really liked the packaging and how we brought it all together, and going back and forth with Jaden at Saddle Creek, trying to get it all together was fun. But yeah, I don't know. I grew up buying CDs, obviously, and then I would get home or be in the car and like read through all the like album artwork and lyrics and everything. And so I guess I do still buy records, but it's just with like moving around and stuff. Now I'm just like, it's hard to buy records. I stop myself from buying records a lot, but if I listen to something a lot, or like want to put it on like around other people, then that usually will lead me to buy something. Or like if Grouper puts something out, then I'm like, buy. But yeah. But yeah, I don't know. That part of it is really fun. Like once your record is done and then you just get to be like, let's figure it out. I already feel like I know what I want to do for my next record, which is cool. But anyway.
Like physically?
Like for the album artwork, and I'm kind of getting some other ideas together too for other things. But for sure, I think I have like the album artwork idea.
Is it Magic the Gathering related? Is it inspired by
damn, you got it. Yeah. Even though I know so little, I was like, I think this will connect me to my people.
One thing I forgot to mention about this dogs deck is that it's very bad.
It's incredibly bad. We really sacrificed competitiveness for the aesthetic.
Yeah, I feel not great about that, but it kind of adds up. Like, it's kind of like disturbingly on brand. So
yeah, we need better representation for dogs in this game.
Failure. Defeat.
So I guess I have another question I wanted to ask you about. You spoke about this a bunch in your interview with the Creative Independent, but I feel like for our viewers, I wanted to ask, you grew up and started writing music outside of the like traditional like music scene, while working a full-time job, but then you've since become a professional musician, and have immersed yourself in a vibrant community of musicians. So what are the differences for you between these two environments?
Well, differences when you have community, or I mean, wow, such time has passed since that interview. Now I'm like in New York and I'm like, this is wild. And before I was thinking that I was going back to LA. But I would say the difference is when you have community, obviously you can ask for help or advice or I don't know, even someone to message like about like, I don't know anything about interfaces or microphones or whatever, you know, just having people that you can bounce things off of, because otherwise I just was like, I had bought a guitar when I was like 16 or 17, like one that was actually mine that I liked. I'd had like kind of shitty guitars given to me in the past, but it was just like the first, you know, mine that I purchased. And I was just writing songs, but other than that, I really didn't know how to kind of dive further into like gear. I'm still really not a gearhead, which is fine. And one day maybe that will happen, but
definitely fine.
Yeah, but I don't know, just having community, I think, is just like a big part of it is that you can ask for help or ask for advice.
Totally.
And even as I was like thinking about signing with Saddle Creek, I had, you know, through the internet become friends with some other musicians and like had friends like look things over, like, you know, before I even got a lawyer. So like a music lawyer, I mean. But yeah, community, I think, is just like having people to lean on in like whatever way that looks like, and support and troubleshooting and etc. Because before it was just like I was just doing things simply for myself, which is fine, and I still try to kind of work that way in some capacity.
Definitely.
But yeah.
You said have some of your answers changed since that interview? You kind of said, "Oh, it's been such a long time since that interview, and my plans have kind of changed." Is it a new context now for you?
Yeah. So I was living in a guest house in LA, and in September escaped the fires in LA with the family who I live in their guest house, and then they sold their house while we were here, which was unexpected, to say the least.
Yeah.
So now I live in New York, it seems. But whom's to say what this year will bring? Whom's to say where I will be? But right now it's just like Corona and everything, so it's kind of like, well, I guess I'm just here for now.
For sure. Well,
but I do have friends here. It's just like, you know, Corona, so it's not like anybody's like, let's vibe. Unless you want to go freeze and walk outside, which I do because there's nothing else to do. So
anyway. I should go on a walk with my mom.
I'll go on a walk with your mom.
She rules. Big fan. She
lives in the city, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Deb.
Let's link up.
All right.
Well, speaking of that article in the Creative Independent in general, you just started working with one of its co-founders, Brandon Stossy.
Mm-hmm.
And how'd you find each other? And I know that there's been sort of something of a different approach this time around in management for you.
Yeah, I had Brent was my manager before, and he was a very nice guy, but we just didn't connect, I think, in the ways that we needed to. And I kind of hired him, like I had gotten Kimmel, and then was like, shit, I guess I need a manager. Like there were other things happening, but I had been handling it by myself up until then, and then that was like, oh, I guess I need help. So anyway, we parted ways, and then I kind of went almost a year without management, just doing it myself. And he reached out to me. I can't remember exactly how he heard my music, but we started talking back in June or July or August of last year, and like started over email. And he was just like, "Hey, I'm interested in your work, and like, blah 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 and management, whatever. And I was just like, I'm taking it slow. Like I had some other conversations with managers and was just kind of like using the time to evaluate what I needed out of a manager and help. And because I think sometimes people don't even really know what their managers do.
Yeah, what do you need out of a manager? You in particular, you know.
Well, I think you need a buffer when you're like on a label. Someone to like do interim kind of work and mediate and help you make decisions so you're not just like led by guilt, which is an issue for me.
Led by guilt.
Yeah, or just like I want to make everyone happy, but you can't do that all the time, and so it's nice to have somebody else to be like, no. So you don't have to be like, so what I'm trying to say is no, but I'm going to type out a paragraph that you don't need to read. Anyway, that's me. So yes, so those kind of things, but obviously when there's tour, you know, they're helping you connect the dots there, getting like things aligned, merch, like he helped me set up this new merch store. Like there's a lot of things, and I don't know, now that I'm nearing finishing writing the record, we're having like meetings about like whomst and where will it be recorded and whomst will be producing, etc. You know, connecting the dots, making sure also that like it's almost like I'm I guess this is not that wild of an analogy, but like I'm the project and he's managing the project, like making sure it's, you know, moving and doing things. And yeah, I don't know. That was a very poor answer. I'm
no, not at all.
Give answers in long-winded, spirally fashions.
That's exactly what we're looking for here on Thoughtseize interviews. Can I ask you?
No, he's great.
Another one real random question. When you hear the name Thoughtseize interviews, do you think my little like Thoughtseize, like my little Thoughtseize, or do you think Thoughtseize, like I'm seizing your thoughts?
Like, oh my god, just have a little
F. F.
Like it took me a second to know what. Like I was like,
we got to do something about it.
Wow, we've just won our second game. I have to say, this dog's deck
dogs are making a comeback.
Incredible.
The dogs are making a comeback.
Well,
I think that the Selfless Savior looked most like Annie.
Totally.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Which is honestly kind of Annie's vibe. It's like,
right?
Yeah.
It's like the only dog in the deck that isn't either evil or just like neutral. You know, it's like this Selfless Savior is like the, you know, the grounding, you know, the good dog.
Yeah, that's Annie.
All right, well, should we do our segment?
Absolutely.
All right.
We have part one of a segment for you here, SB.
So SB, I know you watch, you watch every week, and you've been really, really into our segment. So, last week we did Slayer Song or Magic the Gathering card, where our guest had to identify. We say the name of a card or a song, and your job is to identify whether it's a song by our chosen artist or a Magic the Gathering card. Does that make sense? So last week we did Slayer.
Oh, yeah.
And this week we have Joanna Newsom song or Magic the Gathering card.
Wow. Love. Okay.
Thought you might like that one.
I just came alive from inside. I was like...
Incredible.
All right. You ready?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, first one. Gilded Goose. Is it a Joanna Newsom song or Magic the Gathering card?
Magic the Gathering.
Magic the Gathering.
Correct.
Number 2.
Unless there's some ancient EP I don't know about.
Golden Egg.
Joanna Newsom.
Magic the Gathering. But a little bit of a trick question because the next one up is Goose Eggs.
That is it.
Joanna Newsom, yep.
Correct.
Okay. Weathered
I'm
Way.
disappointed in myself. Anyway.
The whole point is to try and trick you. So if you get some wrong.
We've specifically picked.
I have nothing with this.
We've picked cards that would trick you on purpose. Weathered Wayfarer.
Weathered Wayfarer?
Wayfarer.
Magic.
Magic. Okay. Sapo Kanikan.
Joanna.
Joanna. Off of Divers 2015. I like this one a lot. Sarpadian Empires Volume 7.
Wait. Magic?
It's magic. It's from, I
Okay,
think,
thank
Time
God.
Spiral or something.
I can't get too wrong.
Alright, up next we have Cosmia.
Joanna.
Joanna. Off East, 2006.
Good. The pronunciation.
Thanks. Reviarch.
Reviarch.
Yep.
Magic.
It's magic. That's the one that's the most Joanna Newsom sounding to me. I was vibing when I saw that one.
There was a pause.
I think it's Revelarch. I've always said Revelarch.
Yeah, I guess. You uncultured fucking swine. Okay, we have number 9. Swords to Plowshares.
Magic.
Magic. Killing it. Okay.
Excellent.
Last one of part 1. No Provenance.
Joanna.
Joanna, off of the 2010 triple album, Have One on Me. Okay, well we've
Unbelievable.
We've lost this game. This is gonna be our first ad break. Should we do our ad break
on this show? We have an ad break. It's not really a break, but
You have an ad?
we have to shill. We don't have a break. We have a shill. We have to shill for our new merch store.
We've got a new merch store right here.
We have a merch store, SB. Check out our merch store. We should pull up SB's merch store too.
That's true.
She's got some really sick merch.
I do.
So this is our merch. So here's my little spiel. I feel like Amy Goodman at the beginning of Democracy Now! For the first 30 seconds that you can skip.
This is Democracy Now!
So it goes without saying that artists, like the three of us, have lost our ability to tour, which is where we make the overwhelming majority of our money in this current music industry. Speaking for myself, but it's probably true for most musicians, we've tried various ways of staying busy, making money. For me, one of those things has been doing this show. I think same for you, Lucas. While also trying to foster a sense of community among musicians, which the corporatized music industry attempts to destroy left and right. And if you're interested more in this idea, I would recommend Liz Pelly's article for The Baffler called So Far So Bad, which is very damning in terms of the communities around music world. So anyway, in order to keep this show running, we have built this Thoughtseize Interviews merch store. Basically, we put a bunch of dumb shit on t-shirts, and these are them. SB, would you wear any of these? Check out. This is a
Definitely.
This is a favorite.
I just figured out my spring 21.
This is
collection.
your lookbook. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got,
every day, just a different shirt.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put the link in the chat.
Wow.
Being sued.
I didn't see the London, Paris, New York, Milan cryptic command.
Oh, I added that one. Last minute.
Really strong.
Shit.
The I'm with her one is really good too. Top left.
All right, I guess we'll just go through them real quick. People in the chat say we can't read them. So this is the I'm with her, referring to Liliana of the Veil, of course. Classic.
Cole, I have to give Cole 100% of the credit for these. He said at the beginning that these are dumb. I think that they're some of his finest meme work.
We've got
and
this.
you have to know Magic to kind of know them, but I still think they're brilliant.
I know you really do have to know Magic, but this is a Backstreet Boys shirt that has been changed to say Bolt Snap Bolt, which is a classic Magic term. Oh shit.
Definitely.
We don't have to go through all of them, but this one's
depressing. This one's real dark.
This one's depressing. It's for those people who love to play the blue archetype. It says, yeah, I play blue. B, I have an inherent need to assert unquestioned control over those around me. L, and I'm only able to have fun playing a game wherein my opponents must request my permission before taking any game actions. U, my overwhelming desire to maintain dominance over life, of which I feel is increasingly slipping away from me. E, has manifested itself in a psychosexual desire to police other players' ability to have fun in this game. And I think
that's a accurate representation.
This is marketed towards Virgos. I'm just gonna say.
Hey.
And then we've just got, classic. I do what the cryptic command in my head tell me to do.
Correct.
Which, Spencer's Gifts kind of shit. Anyway, this is our merch store. So I put the link in the chat, and
can we pull up SB's merch store?
Yeah, SB. Quick? What's the link?
I think it's Tomberlin district lines or something. Like if you just search Tomberlin district lines, it'll pop up. I'm pretty sure.
We used the Sopranos one is my favorite.
Yeah, it's really good.
I love seeing a shirt on a shirt.
I know. It's disgusting and everything all at once. I have a question.
Yeah.
Oh god.
What other color variant should we do the Sopranos shirt in?
We should get some votes in chat on that one, huh?
Yeah, because as you can see, it's currently out of stock, and I was like, maybe the off-white isn't the vibe. I mean, it's sold, but I'm also just like, what would look good? Someone tell me. I don't know.
I think it's cool that it kind of matches the color of the shirt that Carmela is wearing. I also want to say, I've watched The Sopranos twice. Mm-hmm. And the first time I watched it, I think I was obviously I was a lot younger than I was the second time, because that's how chronology works. But I was really, I think the first time I watched the show, I was like, I don't like Carmela. And then watching the show again, I was like, she's like a very, very nuanced and incredible character.
Yeah, she has layers like an onion, but and I don't know, she's putting up with a lot of shit, and she has very little control, but also a lot at the same time. It's wild.
Yep. So we have the Carmela shirt. We've got the fruit sticker shirt. 17.
As you can see, the number is 17.
Incredibly strong.
This
the pullovers are so good.
This is very like Magic the Gathering too.
I know. Yeah.
Because Magic borrows from tarot cards in a big way. For sure.
I talked about that.
And then I know I was trying to put together a question for it, but I couldn't think of it. And so this is the shirt we mentioned earlier, the Annie tee.
The Annie tee.
Okay, well that's our ad break. So thank you all for sticking with us through that.
Letting us shill. So back to music. You kind of started making music organically at a young age, and to quote you, as a form of respite. Do you find that making music as a career challenges that sort of sacred relationship with your music at all?
Yeah, because it's a job. It's like no longer when it just like feels good. You kind of have to think about it all the time, obviously. So I still try to make it. I still try to nurture, I guess, that part of me that needs kind of like the spirit to move or whatever you want to call it, But I am like, as everyone says, I feel like in this day and age, like legit, I use my phone notes to write all the time. I'm trying to be better about writing with pen and paper, like transferring those things that I like. But I kind of keep like a long running note of just like ideas or things like when I'm walking.
Do you feel a difference when you write in pen and paper versus in the notes section? Well,
I was talking, I guess, to someone else in an interview about that, and I think the reason that I want to start doing it more is because, like, you know, when you're typing something out and you maybe look back at it later and you're like, oh, that's kind of dumb, or right then and there you're like, that's kind of dumb. It's different than when you're using like a pen and paper, because you're scratching out and you're kind of able to see or like write, like, I don't know, an arrow being like, well, maybe this part should be swapped here instead of this being like the second verse. Maybe that should be the, like, take this line from that. So I don't know.
Right, it's like
think,
showing your work in, like, you know,
Mhm.
fifth grade math class or something.
Yeah. So I think that's what's attractive about it, about like writing with pen and paper more. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of trying to keep that open. This year, I never really have New Year's resolutions, but I have like a tiny green moleskin that I have been using to like write just something about each day, like of what I've done or like what's happened. And sometimes it's really in depth and sometimes it's like nothing. But it's kind of been easier to keep up with instead of just being like, it's a journal, because like when it's a journal, then I feel like it's like a chore.
Right.
But this is just being like, I don't know what happened in some large portions of my life. So now I'll just be able to be like, what happened on February, whatever today is. Today the 15th?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
so.
it is.
I only know that because of the cursed day yesterday. But anyway, I feel like that is actually helping me like remember myself. So then it's kind of helping me also remember like, oh yeah, sometimes things that you're like parsing through can sometimes be poetic, not all the time, but then I can be like, oh, well, like, let's follow that thought through more and then like write about it. I don't know. So
I think they totally can. I personally love reading like writers' personal diaries. You know, the Susan Sontag ones, when she's like you know, a extremely young kid, like discovering her sexuality and like being like a child prodigy and all this stuff. It's so good. Or like
Definitely.
the like Anais Nin has the journals published, and I think they published Kierkegaard's journals. I just think it's such a cool insight into like oh god, I fetched the wrong land.
Not that your journal has to be published, but you know.
No, I've joked to people that like I'm gonna have to have somebody that's trustworthy where I'm like, burn these if I die. Like, I don't know.
I mean, like the Kurt Cobain journals on the front say like, don't read these, and they're fucking published.
Yeah, that's
so dark.
A bummer. I don't know. Yeah, it's like it is cool to have those things, especially like, I don't know, given everything, but at the same time it's like, damn, nothing is sacred. And like even after death, you're still like monetizing yourself like in every private thought. It's kind of
straight up.
But yeah.
Like Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah.
Never.
And now he's president. So anyway.
Rip.
So read the next question.
I'm about to. Well, we mentioned it, I guess, a little bit earlier, but you know, since you started your career, you've relocated from Louisville to LA to New York City. Like, what differences have you found in living in each of these cities and making music? And do you feel like artists have advantages living in these like expensive major metropolitan areas, or that it's, you know, necessary in any way?
Wow. Well, pertinent that you bring this up. I'm trying to sort through that in my mind. It is interesting not coming from a city. Like Louisville was the biggest place that I lived. And most of my life I grew up in very much smaller cities. Like the place we moved when I was 12, the population is like 5,100 or something. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like in the city, obviously, there's accessibility to like very basic things like music stores or like a guitar repair shop or venue to like see shows and meet people. So yeah, there's accessibility, but I don't know. I think community I'm finding is like the bigger tool, and like because you can kind of make any of the things anywhere. It's not like anyone is going to be like, oh, I can hear that they recorded this in New York and that's very expensive. like, you know, everyone wants to like idealize it like that, I guess.
I feel like you kind of can hear LA in recordings. And that's not a good thing.
I don't know what that means, but sure. I don't know. Yeah, so like there are pros and cons to both things, I guess, but I just really want like all of my brethren to like move somewhere by a body of water that's kind of like a shitty town, and then just like invest in it. I'm just like, I wish that more people would do that instead of trying to like kill themselves to make like $2,000 rent.
Great.
And I'm like included in that, obviously, but like, you know, life has caused different shifts and stuff. But like my ideal goal is to like have a house that's mine, but not even like where I can live alone. Like I really just I wish that people would try to invest in like other places other than New York and LA, and I can say that because I'm not here by my own volition. But I don't know. It is something to consider, but I also see the like joy of living in a city, because even though we're in the pandemic, like I've been able to go on walks and like meet people in parks and stuff and like do things outside. Like there's limitless things to do and like ways to have community, and that are like fairly inexpensive in a city that's extremely expensive. So and then when you're in the country, you're just fucking far from everybody. But I lived in Louisville, which is very centrally located in the US, so I could kind of drive anywhere in a day, minus the West Coast.
Speaking of driving, are there some common misconceptions about the touring musician that you'd like to set the record straight on, now that you have an audience of thousands?
The touring musician in general, or like myself?
Your experience as a touring musician, for sure.
It's extremely tiring. Like I was playing solo most of my tours because I write the songs and sing them and play them, and I was not making enough money to pay people what I thought that they were worth, and I was trying to not like just go into debt to look really cool if I could just carry the shit by myself. So I was like, pull up, whatever. Pull up. I am talking to myself as I'm pull up. But anyway, a lot of the bands that I would tour with would be like, oh, since it's just you, like you can hop in the van. Like that happened a few times, and that was incredible, because then I didn't have to do all the driving. But I did several tours where I had like one other person with me, and we would just split, you know, the driving. But it was extremely, extremely tiring, because, you know, sometimes you have like a 15-hour drive, and then you play a show, and then you have to get yourself to the hotel or some stranger's floor where you're sleeping, and it's very intense. Like it's just, you're not sleeping well, you're not eating well, unless you're extremely well off or have some rich relative that's just, I don't know, funding your musical excursions. But yeah, I don't know, it's extremely tiring, and it doesn't really set you up for a lot of success, and people are just giving you, like, offering you alcohol and drugs constantly, and you're just like, cool, but I actually am in charge of me, and I actually have to make sure that like I get to the next thing. So simply no as my answer most of the time. And then sometimes when I'm on tour and like I don't have to drive, like I'm like with a band, and it's like, oh, then I'll like have some sips of some alcohol, but I'm pretty low key. I like to not feel like shit. So I do what I can.
Totally. Because I feel like growing up in the 90s and early 2000s, there was this idea of touring as this like glamorous thing, this very like gritty but glamorous, exciting thing.
Yeah.
That was quickly shattered for me on my first few tours.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of old uncles saying to me, like, "You're out there living the dream, huh?" And
Yeah.
as I was like sleeping on people's floors and stuff.
Yeah, like where you're like friend of a friend of a friend is like, yeah, I have this floor in Boston, and then you get there and you're like, oh, you have 8 roommates and y'all are having a party tonight. And I didn't know I would be watching Bob Ross smoking digital and analog weed. But here we are. Here we are.
I remember staying on this one person's floor, and the bass player insisted on taking the couch, and he gave me the 2 couch cushions, but they kept like separating on the floor, you know. And
it's dark.
It can be dark.
You're like, and then you go to this like alternate universe where like people are like, oh my god, like really kind and like passionate about like your music, and you're like, oh, I do things. I play guitar. Like, I don't know. It's just really discombobulating. And
somebody
like,
described it to me as they were talking about their first tour, and they got home from tour, and their friend was like, wow, that's so crazy. You've been all over the world, and I've just been here at home. And they're like, well, actually, like, you lived a month of your life. I just lived the same day 30 days in a row.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then like had to repack your shit, and like somehow it's expanding even though you've purchased that.
That's like, true.
And everything's heavier.
Yeah, but you've seen the inside of many different Chipotles.
Yeah, so many Chipotles.
Do you know the Chipotle trick?
Survived on McDonald's fries for days on end.
The Chipotle trick we learned from Chastity is pretty insane.
Yeah, Lucas, tell SB the
wait, where you're like,
trick.
help me, I'm poor?
No, Chastity, Brandon from Chastity, lead singer. Shout out to Brandon, who is going to come on this show. Oh yeah, you know Brandon.
You've met.
Yes, he's such a cool. He's the coolest guy. And the story just confirms that. He would call ahead to a Chipotle, and he would say, hey, I manage a band, and we're wondering if we could get some comped meals to the Chipotle. And they'd be like, what's the band? And he'd be like, Chastity, like, you know, Chastity from Canada.
No, he would call and say, hello, this is Brandon Williams.
Yeah.
They'd be like, oh, shit, it's Brandon Williams.
It's Brandon Williams, dude?
Like, that's his name, but he would just say his full name.
Yeah.
And then like some employee like gets on Instagram and sees like how many followers you have, and if you have a blue check mark, and they're like, yeah, we'll give them some free Chipotle. Like, no one's gonna know.
They would get free Chipotle every time, and he would steal the Tabasco and come into the green room and like toss us a full bottle.
I must say, I do not feel bad about stealing the condiments. I often do that. At Shake Shack, I will steal the Louisiana hot sauce. At Chipotle, I will steal whatever is there.
Tabasco.
Is it Tabasco?
Yeah, but they have like 3 kinds. There's the... Well, actually, sometimes they have the rare one.
They have the green kind sometimes.
They have the green sometimes. Sometimes they have the Chipotle flavor, but the rare habanero flavor Tabasco, you always have to steal. It's so
very good.
But this is the thing, guys. They don't ever... There's no sign that says, like, don't take this. There's no price tag on it. I don't think we're doing anything wrong. I think...
I think they're owned by McDonald's.
They're probably throwing it away, you know?
They are. They're owned by McDonald's. They are throwing it away. I really appreciate you shouting out the habanero Tabasco, Cole. It's really excellent.
It is good. Truly good.
I
have an appetite before this, but now I like kind of do, so...
Because of the Chipotle mention. But
I had Chipotle the other day for the first one in a while, and I was like, tour.
But you've also talked about how touring takes you out of the aforementioned community. And you've talked about accountability in community. And I kind of wanted to ask about what being accountable to one's community means to you.
Well, I think I've also just fought to find my people or brethren, what have you, for a long time, just because of like my background and what it was, and like growing up in church, homeschooled, the Black Plague of like, don't be my friend. So I think like once I started to find people and like actually have community, it wasn't just like, oh, all these people live in the same place as me. I have friends spread out all over the US and outside of the US, and but I think it was just like finding ways to, and still is like finding ways to like invest in each other and like have reciprocal like care and time for people. Because I don't know, you go through life and you have different kinds of relationships and different kinds of friends and different people enter and like leave your life. But like the people that, you know, there are some people that I just have like deep love and I don't know, I just like you want to continue to know them, like you care about them and you like want to be a part of their life, so you find ways to make it happen. It's like even if that is coming on this this Twitch that is perfectly produced, executed. I know nothing.
Thank you.
Here I am. But you know, here we are vibing. Perfect example. But I think it just looks different from person to person. But for me, it's like, I don't know, trying to call people in this time or like FaceTime. But sometimes because of like how massively oppressive everything feels right now, it's sometimes harder for me to check in with people because it's like, it's really nice when I'm doing it. But then afterwards, sometimes I can be like even more sad and heavy because it just like makes me miss people more. Yeah. But regardless, I like know that I need to do it and know that I don't just like keeping a journal or like writing down what I'm doing every day. It's kind of the same practice of like, well, I want to know what's going on in my friend's life and not have to do like a 3-month catch up and like blackout, because I have been that person and probably have been to people even now. You know, it's not like I'm perfect, but I do think it's very valuable because like if we don't check in with each other, then like how does anybody stay afloat? And like, I don't know. I think it's just important like to keep people like aware of what's going on in your life. It's so easy to hide anything, I feel like, but especially if you're not like checking in with people and like not really invested in having people or your friends be a part of your life in like a meaningful way. I don't really get I don't think that you have to be that way with everyone. That's what I'm trying to say, is there's different forms of friendship and different kinds, but like the real ones, I'm just like, yeah, I need you to know that like you're important to me. Totally. Not based on like what you give to me, but just because you are. So I don't know.
Well, this is I guess a different kind of question, and we asked this of our last guest, the progressive activist Jordan Yule. But you know, I see music and politics as having always been inextricably linked, both in content and in musical form. And your music has always felt political to me. So what would you say is the role of musicians in the political landscape of in 2021?
I mean, I think obviously this is like a part of this. This isn't a podcast. What do we call this? What is the name for this?
It's a show. It's a channel. It's a channel, a Twitch and YouTube channel.
Stream.
Yeah.
Stream.
Well, the stream is obviously a part of it, but I think that a big part of it is like obviously continuing to educate ourselves. But I think a missing link is like, I don't know, you get into conversations with your friends sometimes or people where it's just like, yeah, man, and like capitalism and like, ugh. It's just like all the like buzzwords and like no one actually knows what they're talking about and no one's really like invested in what's going on in their world and in their community. So I think like engagement, because they're like, it used to be kind of accessibility to this information was like really kind of mysterious, and you know, especially obviously like when the internet was like first forming, but now everything is so accessible, there's kind of like no excuse not to like kind of know what's going on, I feel like. But I think things like this, like making it fun, just like it's not like the whole focus of like what you're doing here, obviously, but it's like a space to like talk to people about their varying experiences, because like I think something that I'm afraid of happening or like seeing come out in music in this year is like, I think that like, and I myself am a white person, but it's like I hope that we all stay in our lane of like what to write about, you know, like I don't really want to hear like a power ballad from like somebody about like George Floyd or Breonna Taylor or like, you know, like I just like hope that everybody can be supportive and like invest and educate themselves and like be present, but also like be aware of like maybe that isn't your space to take up right now kind of thing. That's a concern, but I also think that hopefully people are like, you know, figuring that out.
Totally. I'm just going to delete this George Floyd power ballad that I had written.
Jesus Christ. I mean, I think that's a really good answer. And I completely agree with that. You know, I think, I don't know. I think you nailed it.
Good answer to a hard question.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't have all the answers, and it's just like I think everybody would do better if they just admitted that they didn't have all the answers all the time. That's what I'm trying to say. Because I definitely don't. I'm trying to figure it out too.
So, okay, my next question is about something you wrote on Twitter.
Darkness.
I like your Twitter. I think it's good.
I had a massive big delete this year because of anxiety, and I was just like, what stupid shit have I said?
Well, I this one I related to. So you wrote something that was along the lines of like, when will music reviewers not think every one of my songs is about religious trauma? Which I related to in my experience as an artist as well, not just from critics but from fans even, where like a biographical detail about your life will just swallow up your entire artistic narrative. And so my question, I guess, is, does that tendency of this lack of nuance, which paints artists as being consumed by like one single monolithic idea, feed into this general perception that artists only exist for our entertainment, and kind of removes the like fickle humanity and nuance and contradiction that actually defines us as people?
Yeah.
Great.
I mean,
okay, so next question.
I thought about this a lot. Like, so before the internet, you know, it's not like there wasn't still like media involved in interviews and whatever of artists, but like, I don't know, someone like, even like Joni Mitchell per se, Wildlife, kind of also was like pinned with this like prairie girl, like blah blah blah, busting out like in the big city. She writes songs about love and her place and longing and whatever. But they kind of only had that to go off of because that was her literal biography of like where she came from. And then the rest was kind of a mystery other than like what she wanted to give up to an interview. But now because of like the way that even media interviews have gone and like the ways that we need to make it like, so like we're right in a bedroom with whoever, or we're, you know, like rating things. It's like, I actually don't need to know what Joni Mitchell thinks is overrated or underrated. Like, sorry, like I don't actually need that. And I think it kind of like does make the work that like is an artist is like a full person behind, it just kind of makes it like this silly thing that is not that important anymore. And so it kind of makes it easier, not that those things are inherently bad, but I think it makes it easier to kind of dilute an artist and like their work and like what they're kind of like painfully, or for me it's like, I don't know, and like women and the word like cathartic being used, and like I don't know, it just waters it all down, and I'm just like, this is hard work. Like I'm suffering for very little money trying to like get a lot of information in a song or like a feeling, and I'm having to sit here and like tell you like if I like Converse or Doc Martens better or something, you know? Like
very important.
I think it waters it down, and I think like
totally
now it's just like, how many followers do they have on Instagram or on Spotify? And it's just like, that doesn't actually make the value, like the work, have value or not have value. Like, it's just kind of sad and gross. But anyway, here we all are.
Can you talk about the word cathartic more?
No.
Why did you bring that specific word up? Why does that word bother you?
Because it makes everything sound like it's like a diary, like, you know, it's so cathartic for her to like write about these experiences and process. It's like, actually, it's like not. It's like really painful, and that's sometimes why I don't want to like write and pick up my guitar. Like,
right.
It's not actually fun or relieving. It's like sometimes something really bad happens, and then you like don't want to pick up your guitar for months, and then you finally do, and then you cry, and you're like, ha ha ha. But then you write a song, and then you're like, oh, cool, I wrote a song, and I can pat myself because I'm trained to feel like my value is production.
Does that add
Totally.
to the pain and exhaustion of the touring experience when you're rehashing all these painful memories and that aren't particularly cathartic to experience?
Performing is actually like generally actually, if you want to use cathartic, it is that, because you're getting to share a moment in time with people who came to your show because they connected to your music or they were interested, and you are sharing like a moment in time, and it isn't for public consumption, it's for the people in that room. Right. Or for someone streaming from their Instagram live, I don't know, you know, but still it's like a moment. And you're sharing it, and it does feel sacred, and it does feel involved and reciprocal because you're like feeding off of that energy. It's different than when you're doing sound check, you know?
So once again, the community aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Changing that dynamic.
Yeah. No man is an island, as they say.
Straight up. Do you think that there's too much pressure on musicians to just constantly be making music and touring?
Yes.
And if yes, how do you navigate that pressure? I mean, we talked about this a little bit earlier, and how you try and when I asked about sort of the sacred dynamic of songwriting as respite, but also a painful thing too. So how do you navigate the pressure of, you know, being a professional musician?
It's different every day. I don't think that there's like a simple answer to it. Right now, I'm really struggling, to be honest, with like, what am I doing? Because I don't know. It is a wild time to be alive for everyone, but I feel like especially people who are. I feel like I'm just starting out still, you know, and you know, from an outsider's view, it could look like very wildly successful. Like I've been given like I played on Jimmy Kimmel, which is really wild and cool, and I've like toured in Europe and the UK and like played both Primaveras, like these kind of like milestone things that are really big, and I'm really grateful, and like they blows my mind, and it's wild. But like on a like financial level, that doesn't like hold you over forever or anything.
Right. The Jimmy Kimmel show isn't still paying your bills and shit.
No, it is not. But it's just kind of a wild thing, because that's the whole situation, is that from the outside it looks so magical and wild, but it's kind of like, I'm not opposed to having another job. Like technically I help out with kids from time to time, but it's like right now I'm like, wow, maybe I need to be doing something else aside from that. But it's hard to know. It's like, okay, do you go back to school? And then school costs, you know, supposedly according to the New York Times, around $80,000 a year now.
Fucking crazy.
Wild. So
speaking of school, Brian De Leon just said he just Googled respite, the word. Thanks,
glad
Brian.
To bring up some new vocab. I feel like there are so many words I do not know. But yeah, I don't know. I think it just changes from day to day. But that's what I'm talking about with like community, is that like we should be like looking out for each other and trying to like have these conversations and not be scared about being like, look, I don't know what the fuck is happening in my life right now, or like, what are you doing to find ways to like either stay creative or to make money on the side. Like, there just needs to be, I feel like, a more transparent vibe between, which I think we're getting to, especially during COVID, where people are like, this is actually what's happening for me. But I don't have a good answer for that other than like, I don't know. I do music because I love music, and music is magic to me, and it is like something that like returns me to myself in like a positive way, because it like is an inward thing, but it's also something that can be shared and can like draw me to my friends and to strangers, and that's cool, like that anybody gives a shit about that. So I think like continuing to like, God, I say like so much, put your ego kind of to bed in a way where it's just like, you don't actually have to, I don't have to be a musician full time. You know, I could also just be like, okay, well, this is what I can do. These are the months that I can tour. And this is what I kind of talked to Brandon at the beginning. I was like, I don't really think I want to tour like 11 months out of the year necessarily. Like, I will if that's what I need to do, but I don't think it's healthy, and I don't think I'm at my best in like writing a lot when I do that. So I would like to be more fervent and like attentive to writing, so maybe not tour 11 months out of the year. But now I'm just like, God, I would love to tour. I don't care for how long, but yeah, I don't know.
It's like that fucking Daniel Ek thing of like the owner of Spotify is like, yeah, well, artists need to put out like an album every year. It's like, you fucking gold.
It's hard, hurt, man. Like, suck my metaphorical dick. But yeah, I don't know. I think people also just need to like not be so. I do think that this is a valid job and that we should all be paid more and we should be able to make a living off of this. But I also think that there's nothing wrong with being like, it's fine to have a side job or like another job. Like, I wrote most of my first record when I worked 45 hours a week at Verizon and was going to school like 12 to 15 hours a week. So it can be done. But it is either way very hard. But like, doing music is hard. I feel like people who are doing it either really love it or someone's funding it behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I think,
like
you know,
Cole.
like, yeah.
Like Cole's situation.
Yeah, you talking about the Soros card that I have?
You being funded behind the scenes.
By Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos funding Dive.
I was gonna say something intelligent and insightful too, but
I bet you were.
Well, you know, basically that I think music is a human right, and I think that people who make music need to, you know, it needs to be acknowledged that it's like an important function in society, and it's an important role, and musicians need to be paid fairly.
Yeah.
There's
no HR department in music industry land.
Right.
That is an important point.
There's no HR, there's no healthcare.
Yep.
These are the things they don't tell you.
Yep. All right. Well, so the next question I wanted to ask you about is, you know, some of your most well-known songs are very like narrative driven, and among other things, you recommended to readers of the Creative Independent that they purchase a Criterion Collection subscription. Are films a point of reference for you or an inspiration to your songwriting process? And is there anything on the Criterion Collection app that you would want to specifically recommend to our viewers?
Wow. Great question. So yes, movies are a big deal to me. They were slightly forbidden to past a PG rating at my house for a very long time, or my parents' home. So it also became something that was like mine so much that I had to like hide it, you know? And then I eventually worked at a family video rental store. What's up? But it's not as exciting as you would think, and there's a porn in and it's scary. But But yeah, movies I think like turn something on in my brain to where like I can lose myself in what's happening, obviously, but it's like, I don't know, I love going to the movies by myself. Like that's something that I miss doing with quarantine and everything. But I don't know, it's just nice to like not be distracted by anything for like 2 hours or 2.5 hours or whatever.
Totally.
And yeah, I don't know, I really love Terrence Malick's movies. There's a lot of space in them, and you know, there is always like a narrator pretty much like kind of letting you know what's going on or confusing you more. But I just watched Days of Heaven.
Beautiful movie.
Yeah, I think I'd seen bits and pieces on TV like when we had like IFC channel for a minute or something, but yeah, I weirdly hadn't seen it, and it was so moving. I don't know. Yeah, and yes, movies are a big deal to me. I love movies. I don't really have anything intelligent to say about them other than that they're very moving, and I love watching them. And I would honestly love to, I don't know, to learn more about that world in some capacity. But yeah, movies. What was the question? Does it bring up things about like lyrics? I'm sorry.
Just like inspiration.
No, you answered it perfectly.
You answered it really well, and you gave a recommendation, which was the other thing that we asked.
Yeah.
I was about to say great answer.
Oh, and me, you, and everyone we know, Miranda July is also on there. Great.
Very strong.
Yeah.
Pooping back and forth forever.
Pooping back and forth forever. And I'm also reading her short stories right now for the first time. So that's fun.
So, SB, was banning Simian Spirit Guide over the top? Do you think that they went too far when they banned Simian Spirit Guide and Uro Titan of Nature's Wrath?
For sure, dude.
Was that too aggressive?
I mean, you know, they made it. They brought it in and then they banned it.
That's true. They could. I thought you were going to say they brought it into this world. They can bring it out.
Yeah.
I thought that's where you were going.
That's what my mom used to say to me. But yeah.
Wow, dark.
Joking, not in hate. She was using humor.
Well, they brought Simian Spirit Guide out of this world, so.
Rip.
Yeah, I feel bad for Ray. Ray in chat.
Ray,
sorry,
yeah,
bud.
Quote.
There's
Ray
one named Chad.
No, chat.
Like,
Ray and Chad. Our buddy. Card. Yeah.
Ray is a Chad.
Yeah, Ray, you're a Chad. You are or were reading The Overstory by Richard Powers.
I guess technically I am still. But
okay, sick.
I paused.
There's a quote in there that reminds me of you. And it is, "She hates the phone, handheld schizophrenia, unseen voices whispering to you from a distance."
Damn.
So I wanted to use that quote to ask you about your relationship to your phone. I know you went online recently, you went on Instagram Live and was kind of talking to your people about different ways to approach engaging with your fans and stuff. And so I was kind of wanted to catch up with where you're at as far as social media and stuff.
Well, since being in New York, I wrote a new song that references social media in a very Tomberlin-esque way, as in, like, you probably wouldn't realize that offhand, but then you maybe go back to it and you're like, huh, interesting. But a lyric in it is "Tap the heart until I hate myself." And it's like, yeah.
That's a magic reference, too?
Definitely. I was also hoping that you'd pick up on that. I didn't want to get it. But yeah, I don't know. I think that right now it's hard to not be on it because we are obviously not seeing our friends very much, if at all. So it has like, it gives you some semblance of like hanging out with people or seeing what's up, but it honestly is like not fun. Like I would like other ways. Just I don't know. And that's the thing is that like my social media is technically for my job, which is not really like I'm not touring right now and I'm writing, but it's not like I'm going to be like, "Hey guys." Like
Damn, I would kind of like it. I would kind of like it if you did that on social media. Hey guys, that would be a good vibe
like,
for you.
It's me.
Like different myself.
Yeah.
Like start talking like I'm a YouTuber.
I think
Hey
that would
guys,
be good.
welcome to my channel. I wrote a new song today. Yeah, I can't.
Danny and I got for Valentine's Day. I bought Danny a serger, which is like a type of sewing machine that does like inseams and stuff. Anyway,
yeah.
we were trying to figure out how to use it, and we went like pretty deep in sewing machine YouTube. It is crazy. It's so wholesome and just like beautiful.
Yeah, there's honestly so much good stuff on YouTube. Like YouTube over Instagram any day, but this is the thing. Part of the thing isn't even Instagram. I remember Instagram in the sweet first days when there were no ads, when there was no explore page, when there was nothing that you could buy or, you know, like it was just fun, stupid shit. I miss it. I remember when YouTube didn't have ads, you know.
You're like a social media boomer now.
Yeah.
Back in my day.
Like, grandma. But yeah. So I don't know the answer to that either. I've been thinking about that. Patreon is also kind of bad in some ways, and I know that there are other kind of formats, but that also feels like a lot of work.
I'm just having people send me hard cash in envelopes these days.
I would prefer that.
Oh yeah, that was a question I had written down, but I forgot to put. Is what's your Venmo?
Sarah Beth Tomberlin. There's an H in Sarah.
Very sick. Very sick. We'll put that in chat. Should we move on to Joanna Newsom or Magic the Gathering card?
I have my last dumb fun question.
Okay.
Because you've said it twice in this interview, and I think I find it very cool. You tend to call your friends brethren instead of like, you know, bro or like, you know, whatever the fuck people call each other.
Yes.
What other biblical words should enter popular lexicon?
Wow, I wish I had more time to like. I mean, there's definitely like insults that are like slightly biblical leaning.
Like what?
Like, you beast. I mean, it's like that's in everything, but like that's in a lot of things. But I don't know. There's a lot that could be. I've tried to as much as the Bible.
Do
like,
you use beast
as possible? But what?
Do you use you beast? Do you
no,
call
but I should is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Things that we should bring back from the Bible.
All right, this Twitch channel is bringing it back for sure.
Yeah, you foul beast. Yeah.
Okay, so sorry, I'm trying to pay attention to this. My opponent's deck is tough one. Okay, so our last segment, Joanna Newsom song or Magic the Gathering card, part 2. Shit.
Deceased.
Hey, what's up?
Woo!
Okay. What were we doing? Oh, okay.
Joanna Newsom lyric.
Joanna Newsom song.
Wait,
or
is your screen back?
I see everything.
We can't see the Magic game, but maybe that doesn't matter.
I don't think it matters anymore, but I'll show you.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Oh god. Sorry. All right. Number 1.
Am I frozen?
Number 1, ribbon bows.
Joanna.
Choo!
Joanna, have one on me. Number 2, Vivian's arc bow.
Magic.
War of the Spark, I think. Hold on. Let's get this get this beautiful dog and cat duo on the battlefield over here. Okay, number 3, Sublime Epiphany.
Magic.
Magic. Got it.
SB, you are on fire.
I'm a true fan of Joanna Newsom.
You're nailing it.
Fuck it. Okay, number 4, This Side of the Blue.
Joanna.
Yeah, I think it's off the first record, Milk-Eyed Mender.
Yeah.
This one's okay. This one's pretty good. The Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale.
Magic?
I
love when they're close.
I know.
I love when they're close.
That one was so close. That's a magic. Yeah, you're right.
Thank God. Yeah, I was like, Tabernacle.
Okay, number 6, we have Kingfisher.
Joanna.
Yep, have one on me. Aethersworn Canonist. Magic. Number 8, Go
Sounds
Long.
like kind of shit in her lyrics, but she never titles with that. Let's be real. Okay, go ahead.
Go Long.
Joanna.
Yep. Number 9, Swan Song.
Joanna.
We got you with the trick question again.
I didn't fully. I said Joanna.
Number 10 is Swansea.
Swansea. Yes, that's Joanna.
Yep.
That's why I was.
Very sick. We tricked you.
We tricked her twice.
You didn't. I didn't even say her full name.
That's right. She only said
All right.
Joanne.
All right, 18.5 out of 20.
Pretty
I'll
good. I
say
think that's the best anybody's done.
Yeah, you nailed it. So we just want to close out with some high fantasy hypotheticals. It's the final segment of our show here. This is kind of like a would you rather, kind of like would you accept these sort of flawed magical fantasy powers?
Okay.
All right?
Let's go.
So we're going to hit you with a few here. Annie, for those who don't know, SB's dog, can literally fly like a dragon and carry you wherever you like in this hypothetical. But in exchange, your right ear slowly shrinks in size every time you take flight. That's one option. Or you can turn into Annie whenever you like, but each time you do turn into Annie, some dog-like traits carry over into your personality when you switch back into a human. Okay, the flying on top of Annie?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Right here.
Excellent. I think that's a great call myself. Okay, number 2. Clap your hands.
But who says dog-like
thrice,
traits are bad?
And Joanna Newsom appears before you as a genie to offer you wisdom, guidance, and companionship. But each moment spent together is time taken off of your lifespan. Would you accept this flawed magical power?
Is there another option?
No, it's just that. Just do you want that?
Wait, so she can give me anything I want and I get to hang out with her?
Just like she can't give you any magical things, but she can give you advice and like comfort you. But it takes time off of your life. You slowly die.
Seems not worth it.
Okay, so that's a no.
I would do it.
But I'm also like, maybe everything in the world, like maybe it will be good to peace out sooner. Anyway.
Okay, well, let's pick between this one and this other one. I think these were supposed to be together.
Okay.
You have the ability to control the hearts of men, but in exchange, you are forever cursed by compulsively saying, "What's jiggy with it?" Literally anytime you enter a room, even if you've been in that room quite recently. So if you leave the same room and come back.
Why is that so funny? I don't know. It's not actually that funny.
I'm glad you like that.
I just can't imagine myself.
I mean, neither. That's why I picked it. So if you leave and come back into the room, you have to say it again. Like if you go to the bathroom, when you re-enter, you kind of have to announce yourself and say, "What's jiggy with it?"
Are you asking this because I asked you what's jiggy with it on the phone earlier?
Okay. Yeah, I guess I would, because like men are confusing as hell and I don't understand. So yeah, sure. You didn't say that I couldn't say it quietly. So
It's kind of like a tick. It's kind of like a nervous tick. You're just like, what's jiggy with it? Like, it just kind of happens, you know?
I don't know. I feel like it's a fair trade. A lot.
I agree. I think it's pretty even, remarkably even.
Yeah. No bodily deformity will
Right.
come to me.
You just
Right.
have to like sell it really hard, like like saying fetch and Mean Girls or whatever.
Right.
Or you just say it every time. You're just like, what's jiggy with it? What?
I think you could make it. I think you could work it into your personality pretty seamlessly.
Thank you. High praise.
So number 4, you have the ability to reach through your phone and punch someone in the face who is operating their own phone. So it's kind of like phone to phone punch. But in exchange, anytime you receive a notification or someone tries to contact you, your bladder feels full. Okay.
I don't want.
Okay, she doesn't want that. That's a hard no. You can mentally teleport to any rock concert at any time or place, but in exchange, you hear obscure ska songs in your head loudly and without warning a few times a week. Just randomly throughout the week, just pick it up.
Aren't all ska songs obscure?
Yeah, pretty much.
My cousin is in a ska band in Florida.
So tight.
What do they call it?
Yeah, what are they called? Shout them
I
out.
don't know. I feel like they've changed their names several times. I feel like they were like walking sickness of some sort, like when I was like 13.
Sick.
I don't know what they're called now. They were some kind of like, I don't know. I wasn't allowed to have a MySpace, but I would go to their MySpace and listen to it and like try to like it really bad. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I could deal with the occasional ska song for that.
Very sick. Very sick.
I'm not actually mad at ska, honestly. Like it's
me neither. I just just you're sitting around reading a book, and then all of a sudden, like the skanks, and,
yeah, that is hard.
And like the horn section comes in.
I hope that it would happen when I'm just like on a walk and an ideal moment where I'm just like, well, this is interesting. This is an interesting sort of pain.
Okay, last one. You can. This is a long one. Long wind up for this one. You can eliminate hate in the hearts of humanity. Okay, but in exchange, you have to serve as doula for the Sisyphean daily birth of a baby Dave from Pedro the Lion out of a female-bodied Dave every single day until you die of exhaustion.
No.
Would you martyr yourself?
I don't even remember what I get if I do. Like, that's so disturbing.
You eradicate hate.
Nah, I'm good. Because I'm going to hate. Because I'm holding all the hate.
You would be holding all the hate, but you'd be birthing baby Daves from a female-bodied Dave into the world.
Sorry,
all right. All right. Well, we're going to send this to Dave.
I think Dave will understand.
Well, I think that's our show, y'all. Cole, do you have any closing statements? SB, anything you'd like to add before we wrap up here?
Me. Honored.
I just want to, in chat, somebody asked, how high were you when you wrote these? And I can say, without question, Lucas was of sober body and mind.
Yes. Cole and I are both a few years sober. I just really like fantasy.
So sober that their minds have exploded to another dimension.
Got nothing to do. So, well, we appreciate you coming on, SB. That's our show. We want to thank Deranged Strangler for our theme music. We'll be here every Monday, 5 p.m. PST. And that's all we got for today. Cole, do you wanna play us out? Thanks everyone for hanging out.
Yeah, I want to give a quick report. The deck did pretty well. I think we won at least 3 games, lost maybe like 4 or 5. I thought it was at the beginning. I thought it was terrible, and now I think it's like it's fine. It's fun. If you want to hang out with dogs and play dog deck, it's good.
I respect it.
Chat wants to know if you like Doc Martens or Converse better.
Danny. Fat baby.
Oh, is that a reference?
I guess for
Yes.
winter, I don't know, Doc Martens maybe. I have like these wedge ones that are like this big and they make me feel powerful.
I would say
Right.
Doc Martens, but I'm actually wearing Converse right now. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I'm actually wearing shoes inside my house where I'm not allowed to wear shoes.
Damn.
Take that.
But-
Myself.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, I don't. Never mind.
Strong note to end on. Strong.
Alright.
Very strong.
Very on brand.
Well, thank you, SB, so much for being a part of this show. It was really fun hanging
Thank
out
you.
with you. Thank you for your thoughtful answers.
Sure.
And thanks to Rain Strangler for the song that we're about to play. Goodbye, everybody.